Hello, you are so welcome along to this episode of Live Wild. Today I get to talk to Irish actress Seana Kerslake. Seana is amazing. She is best known for her role in Smother, Bad Sisters, Hole in the Ground and Ballywater. She's been awarded the Breakthrough Award by Dublin Film Critics, the Bingham Ray New Talent Award at the Galway Film Fleadh, and she is IFTA nominated multiple times and she has won. She is an absolute acting tour de force and I'm so lucky to call her my pal.
Listen to your gut, listen to your intuition and follow that. Listen to yourself, because I think so many times in my life I didn't. I've ignored what my guts were screaming, but I didn't know how to hear them, and I didn't know how to. It's like, right, okay, in the back of my head you know what to do, but you don't know how to do it.
Whether you're an actor starting out or an audience member that's a fan of her work, you're in for a real treat. We get stuck into everything. Acting, breaking the glass ceiling as a woman, motherhood, and because we're great pals, the conversation takes a bit of a U-turn and we end up talking about spitting in dogs' mouths. I don't know how we got there, but we did. So, enjoy the show. We're recording, oh my god.
It's a fish. It's official.
It's official. Seana Kerslake, you're on the Live Wild podcast.
Oh God, the pressure. I know I've said this to yourself, but no, there's like, I don't know why, but I don't know, because maybe I listen to you, maybe because you're my friend. I don't know. It's just like, and maybe you haven't, I don't know, done one of these in a long time. Also, like, yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
but I think it's different.
Things.
Yeah, it's different though, because like obviously you and I are great buddies and I really appreciate that. And we talk so much, like we voice note all the time and our conversations go everywhere. And I love that.
That's
that
probably why I'm afraid.
That.
That's probably why I'm afraid. And it's like, I want to be honest. You know
I
what
know.
I mean? So
I know.
yeah.
But thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
And look,
no
I,
problem.
I I know that there's going to be like probably loads of actors or like young actors out there or filmmakers or whoever will tune into this because you're so well known in the industry and you're so well respected and well loved. So let's start with chat about acting, if that's cool.
Yeah.
Like what made you want to become an actor? Where did it start?
Oh,
Was it something you saw when you were a kid? Was it a particular actor? Was it something somebody said?
that it's weird, the noise I made. I went, oh, because that just seems like so long ago and such a like when you begin in acting, it's like your life force energy. You're like, hook it to your veins. You're like, this is amazing. Like, and
Yeah.
it's so empowering and you get to use all those emotions that you've nowhere else to put. So,
Yeah.
I think I was always doing drama. I was very fortunate enough to always be doing drama. And then I never really thought acting was a job. Like I thought that was like a far off Hollywood idea. And then when I left school, in my like every Friday drama class, a casting director came in and we all had to have monologues prepared and I made a mess of mine. And then he said, can I actually talk to you and myself and another guy, Johnny Ward, who was in the drama class,
Johnny.
who was already cast in the movie that I subsequently got cast in. We did some like scenes and improv around the side of the stage. And yeah, I got called in to meet with Maureen Hughes and Kirsten Sheridan, the director of Dollhouse, and I didn't know who people who don't know who Maureen Hughes is. She's like a very big casting director in Ireland, and
huge,
she I didn't know who she was. You know what I mean? I didn't know who anybody was. I was just going into the room and doing a bit of drama, doing a bit of improv, and that's kind of how I got introduced to the industry. And then I saw, oh, there was people who do this all the time. So there was like a sound mixer and I'm like, okay, so you do this all the time. Like there's enough work for you in Ireland that you have a job in film, you know. It just felt very far away. But yes, that kind of opened the door to me. And then I was that into more of my professional kind of career, you know. But
Wow.
What made me want to be an actor? I don't know. I think it was like a need, you know, the need to express, as daft and as like however that sounds. It was like no, if I didn't have this expression in my life, I probably wouldn't be able to function, you know.
Yeah.
So initially, I think a lot of people use it as that, and then it kind
Mm.
of, yeah, moves off into other things.
Are you looking back at that with hindsight, or did you realize that at the time that it was a need, or do you look back now, a bit older, a bit more mature, and go, "Oh, that's probably what I needed," or was it conscious at the time? God, I need this in my life, or was it just?
I think it a bit of both,
Mm.
if it can be, like, because it definitely is hindsight, but then also I remember like needing that weekly outlet of the drama
Mm.
class,
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm.
know?
Mm. Like you mentioned Dollhouse and Kirsten
Mm.
Sheridan. I mean, to come out of drama school and to go straight into that, which at the time was such an amazing film. It is such an amazing film. Um, and it was such a big film, and Kirsten Sheridan is a wonderful filmmaker. Like to go from drama school into a big feature film like that, what was that like for you? Was it a case of it felt very natural, or were you a bit like, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing here?
It wasn't natural at all. I didn't, and as well, this is probably a point we can touch on. I didn't go to drama school. So I
Oh, I
came
thought it
out
was
of school
Oh
and
my
did that.
God.
So I was like, oh, cool. Like, this is
Oh,
great. And the way it was shot, like we didn't know what would happen at the end. So it was all improv, like we had improvised scenes and there was ideas
mm,
that we talked about and tossed around, but we didn't know, like we didn't have a script per se. Like the
wow.
crew knew what was going to happen, but we didn't. But I was so naive that I was like, oh, we all don't know what's going to happen. And so we had a week of rehearsal down in British Bay with the rest of the cast, and we improved, but then and workshopped.
Mm,
But then when we went in on set, we didn't know what would be happening of a night, which was amazing because there was freedom in it that as a
mm,
non-actor, I got to go, oh, well, I'm not meant to know how to hit marks or how a film set
mm.
works because it was a 360 lit set. You could go anywhere and the camera just had to follow you.
Oh, wow.
So it was a real, like I had a baptism of fire, but it was a real
Yeah.
learning curve because I could, that's how I learned the onset things that you don't learn otherwise,
Mm, mm.
well,
What an
parts of them.
parts to me. Yeah, what an
Yeah.
experience to just have that freedom to roam. Because I think that's what people um when they come out of drama school, or they probably struggle with that a little bit, is the technical aspect of acting, is that oh, you have to hit your mark and you have to be lit a certain direction and all that. So to be able to step into a character without having the restrictions of that, that's a real gift actually, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. Like, but, and it was such a gift because it introduced me to, and I'm like forever grateful to Kirsten for that. Like
mm,
it introduced me to the whole world. It opened the door, and then I went into a place called the Factory, which is now Bow Street, but it was down near Boland's Mills down on the Quays in Dublin,
mm.
and there was like actor workshops in there, and I got to know like a lot of the heads that you would see in stuff now.
Yeah, I thought, you see, you came from Bow Street into Kirsten's film. I didn't realize it was the other
Ah,
way around.
yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
incredible. That's
yeah.
incredible. Like, was it a lot of pressure to come from school? And what did your parents think of it? Were they like totally supportive of it? Or they're like, ah, sure, this is just a phase she'll grow out of? Or what way were they thinking?
I'm very lucky that my family have, my mom and dad have always kind of gone, whatever you want to do, whatever,
Brilliant.
be happy type of thing. But I think there was comfort in the fact that it was like my first gig was like a paid gig. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they're kind of going, okay, okay. Like whereas I know other people go, oh, you have a year to do this, or else you have to go to
Yeah.
college or whatever it may be, or
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
um, if you're not making money straight away, which is the way it is, because then obviously after that film, you're not working and you're going, okay,
Yeah.
this is acting. Um,
Yeah.
but what was the first part of that question?
I don't
Was there
know.
pressure?
Oh,
Was there
was there pressure?
pressure?
Yeah, was there like, did you
Um,
feel immense pressure? Because I suppose looking back now, you step from school, you're so young, and you step into a massive feature film, and you became like a really big name in the industry at that point.
no.
No, Shauna, you're modest, and that's really sweet. But like, you did, and you are, whether you know it or not. So it's like, all eyes were on you at that point, you know, because all, you know, Kirsten Sheridan is Jim Sheridan's daughter. So all eyes were on
Mm.
her as well. And therefore ye, you know.
You see, I think we were just so blissfully ignorant. Maybe not so
Mm,
much like uh, Jack and Kate and Johnny would have been more in the know, but me,
mm,
Kieran and Shane, even though he did kisses beforehand, um, we were just having the crack. And
yeah.
Kirsten kind of just wanted it to be that. So we never felt any pressure to like be a certain thing or, oh, this is Kirsten Sheridan or, and we knew
Mm.
we were shooting in Jim's house, you know what I mean? But it was all just kind of like
Wow.
as if it was just, and he wasn't living there at the time, but yeah,
Wow.
it was all just very no, I think that was probably down to Kirsten that she protected us. That was just like, you just have
Lovely.
to crack and we'll just be here watching it. And you're like,
Wow.
okay, kind of thing.
Wow. That's amazing.
So I
Like
don't know what kind of movie that makes, but I had
y-
fun.
yeah, well, I mean, it breaks the mold in some respect, and I think that's always interesting, you know.
Yeah, I
Um,
suppose trying something.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But having the opportunity to try it as well, because there would be a lot of like concept filmmakers out there, but they can't really bring it to fulfillment. But she's done it, like, so
Mm,
that's an achievement in itself, I think, you know.
hmm hmm
I never asked this question, but I'm going to ask you because it's a real kind of a kiddie question that I'm
Okay.
asking. But like, what would be your ideal role if the sky was the limit?
Uh
It's a real childish question to ask, but it's kind of
it's
sweet.
not, but I just like that you think it is. Um, you see, that's probably changed. You know, when I was
Yeah.
in the beginning, I would have wanted something really like meaty and like your heart bleeding out type of
Yeah.
role, like like the drama of it and like really like yeah, high drama and um, you know, intense. Whereas now I keep saying I want to do like a female Dumb and Dumber. I want to be in Dumb and Dumber. I want to be in The Big Lebowski, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to be in something that's like a quality movies, but
Mm,
there's some well, I suppose yeah, The Big Lebowski is amazing because it's a drama, it's a comedy, it's yeah,
yeah.
it's all of those things. But yeah,
Mm.
bit of Dumb and Dumber
Wow.
at
What
the
do you think
moment.
at the moment? Let's keep
Yeah,
it
that's what
lighthearted.
I'd like. Yeah.
What do you think has changed from like you know, why has that changed from, you know, wanting the really meaty
Uh,
dramatic roles to the more comedic lighthearted stuff?
I suppose the rarity of finding a good script that is
Mm.
comedic like that, that can still have the weight of an amazing character, and you're going, yeah,
Mm.
I'm really getting to like flex my bones here because comedy, as you well know, is
Mm.
not an easy feat. It's a hard thing to do, but and just made look easy by the actors. But yeah, I think it's because I've done lots of crying. I've done lots
Yeah.
of like pouring my heart out, crawling on the
Yeah.
ground through mud, like I'm just going, well, we go and we have a lovely time and just have a bit of crack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what Smother was for me. Like you and I
Oh,
met on
oh,
Smother, and I so appreciate all that time. Because it was just gorgeous. For me, it was just gorgeous anyway. It was just like a little bit of slice of heaven away.
oh, it's
You know,
dreamy.
it was during the pandemic.
Mm,
You know, the town we had to ourselves. We used to get up in the morning. All lived in the same hotel. We'd get up in the morning, put our like towels on, walk the town almost in our bare feet because there was nobody
mm,
there, down for a swim and back up again. It was just, I was like, this, guys, this job is just the
yeah,
best job.
I
Um,
know.
and
And
that,
having the guilt of that, like being like, because it was during like other people weren't working, and here we were on the coast of Clare, and it was like, s- like the views and just
yeah.
sea swims and, and working. You're going,
And working. It was
yeah,
amazing.
oh,
It
yeah,
was really amazing. And I was so appreciative of it.
yeah, yeah,
But that's kind of what Smother was for me. I was like, this is lovely. This is
yeah.
lovely. I want to do more stuff like this. This is lovely. This is easy. It's not like, you know,
Yeah, and you
other
have to say
stuff.
to your family, "Oh, I have to be here. I can't
Yeah.
go down because no, I can't visit you. I have to stay because, like, we can't see
Mhm.
anybody else and all that."
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it was really nice. I missed my kids, but I mean,
yeah, of course.
I wasn't in it that much for season one when the pandemic was kind of at its peak. I was kind of traveling up and down, and season two I had a bit more to do, but Yeah, I think like what's the best thing for you that comes out of every project? What do you take away from every project? That's the kind of a same. Does it have a theme, or are all things different when you walk away from a project?
I think I know this sounds bad, but the initial things I'll say this that I take away is the people. You know what I mean? I take a
I'm the
pal.
same. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the exact same.
Yeah. If you find a good pal, you're like, that was a good job. Do you
I
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
I actually agree. I agree. And I'm
Yeah.
looking at you going,
Yeah.
you were it,
Yeah.
babe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Totally. Totally.
everybody was amazing on the cast. I got on with I actually have to say, like, everyone I would stay in touch with on the cast. But
Yeah.
like you were my heart. You were my
Oh
heart,
no,
love.
like absolutely. Cause and that's okay. That and you're like, and that's okay. Because there's some people that you connect with and click with more, and you kind of learn that because some films you come away and you're like, oh, I thought we would have stayed in touch, and then it's
Mm,
not, and you kind of go, okay, right. You learn
mm,
that that's just the way. But
yeah.
yeah, I've actually from acting and my jobs, I've found a lot of my best friends, you know, some
Yeah.
really good people in your life that you're like, you know,
Yeah. And I
like
find
Charlie, I got Charlie Bailey from Mad Mary, and I got Nika from
mm,
Cancope and all
yeah.
those things, so
Yeah.
you get good people.
You get good people. And I actually was going to talk about Date for Mad Mary. I still think it's possibly not possibly, it is one of my favorite Irish films of all time. It
I know.
absolutely,
You can't say that.
I always say that to you because it blew me away. And like The Young Offenders, the film, we were touring at the same
Yes,
time. And that's
yeah,
actually where we first
yeah,
met, really
yeah.
briefly. And we were touring at the same time. And I remember like seeing it at festivals, like, hey, how are you? And at the awards and stuff like that. And it's just such an incredible film. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's full of heart, both yourself and Charlie. Amazing in it. Like that was really, really, really gorgeous. When you do a film like that, like what do you feel is next after stuff like that? Because
Yeah.
there's ebbs and flows to jobs. Like, was that one of the? Okay, it's one of my favorites. Was it one of your favorites?
Absolutely, like you
Wow.
said, for me, the film is full of heart, and for me, my experience around it is full of heart. So
Mm,
I really enjoyed that film, and it's definitely a special one. Like I think for majority of people involved, but
yeah.
that's such a good question about what do you feel is next for you after a job like that? It's
Mm,
so funny. Because as an actor, you do think you're like the next thing is like you're always thinking, and the next like little indie that breaks through, or the next little that gets seen or
mm,
I don't even remember. I like because I don't have my IMDb here, but what came next.
mm,
But
mm.
yeah, you're always thinking. And you're always looking for that Mad Mary script, you know what I mean? That little magic
Yeah.
script that you go, oh yeah, this has something, this could be something, and if it's the right team, it can lift.
Mm, mm. What do you think is the best thing about being an actor?
Ah,
I
um,
know we've touched on part of it, but
yeah, I suppose getting to express yourself, like
mm,
when you see and this is the part where I know a lot of actors struggle with then, because you're always given the parameters in which you can express yourself. So, you're
mm,
given the day that you're allowed to express yourself. You're given the scene you're allowed to express yourself within, and when you're within that scene, you have to express it the way the director wants it. So you're kind of going, so you're starting to like squid your expression into all these little avenues of other people's wants or
expectation.
needs.
Yeah.
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 So you go, right, you're like, right, Grant, okay, that I can do that. That's my job. But
Mm,
yeah, when you're using it, this is probably why it shouldn't be your only form of expression, because when you are using it as your only form of expression, it's getting like tampered with. So but
mm,
that is the best thing about it, that you get to like express emotion and color and all that in different ways, that you get to
mm,
embody those parts of yourself. That's a lot of fun.
mm.
You forget
I
that.
Yeah, exactly. It is easy to. It's nice that we're having this conversation because it is easy to forget when life
Yeah.
kind of evolves and different parts of it takes over.
Hmm.
Um, And yeah, I used to always kind of roll my eyes a little bit in the early days about like, oh, actors are artists and stuff. I used to roll my eyes a little bit, and I'm ashamed of that now, because I'm kind of like, no, it really is. It's a complete artistry. It's not just, you know, a charismatic personality or looking a certain way or even being a good technical actor or whatever it might be. There is
Yeah,
a complete artistry to it. Um,
absolutely.
what do you think is the worst thing about being an actor, actually? I'm
um,
I'm firing them at you.
the, I'm like, but but it's interesting about the artistry thing
Mm,
because in AD said that recently on set. It's like, oh, we're relaxing the artists off, and I laughed, like not like ha ha ha, but I kind of laughed in a way because not because I don't think acting is an art, because I do think that, but
mm,
and can be, but
mhm.
because I didn't feel like one. You know what I mean? Because I'm just
Oh,
like, oh yeah, what I'm doing
no.
here right now is art. Because like that, onto the question at hand, what's the worst thing about it is when you don't feel like you can fully express, or you haven't had the space to fully let
Mm,
your acting muscle flex, like you're not getting to do the thing.
yes, or for whatever reason on set, it's just not working that day.
Oh yeah, well that too.
And that sometimes can be completely out of one's control, where
Yeah,
it's like, it could be a lighting issue, it could be a sound issue, it could be a million other issues that really aren't down to you, but for whatever reason, you're just trying to hold your space in the middle of it and trying to just hit that mark and hit that essence, because it's really interesting.
yeah,
I don't know, and I'm sure you feel the same. Everyone, when you're in a scene together and you're wrapped into the scene and it's working really well, it.
yeah,
It's an unspoken thing between actors where you just kind of make eye contact at the end of it. You go, "Fuck, we nailed that. That's good.
yeah,
It just felt good." And I think people around you feel it as well. And
totally.
equally, then when it hasn't worked. You're just like, and I'm all for saying, "Hey, I know we're under pressure for time, but can I try it again?" I just
Yeah,
I'm not getting it. I feel like I'm at the stage in my career where I know I can ask that, with humility and go, "Guys, sorry." For whatever fucking reason I'm fucking up today. So can we go again? And it's nice to be able to be in that position, I think,
yeah.
rather than
There's
going, "Oh no," and walking away and feeling really bad about yourself.
Totally, and there's definite freedom in going. I have had a couple of auditions where I've actually had such a good time in the room, but know that I haven't gotten the job. But like I've done like I've because when you get a nice director or a good director where you've
Mm,
workshopped the scene, you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember doing one audition, and I was saying to the director, I'm not getting it. Like, I know I wasn't hitting the mark, but I was
mm,
excited to try. And we kept
brilliant.
doing it. And she was like, yeah, no. And at the end, um, maybe it was a language barrier thing as well. But she was like, yeah, no, you weren't getting it. But like, basically, we both said, yeah, we'd loads of fun. Thank you
Oh,
for that. That was a great
oh,
experience. But
that's so
yeah, no,
nice.
I didn't, I wasn't able to get what she wanted from me. But I was like, lovely, best of luck with it. Like, that's good for you.
That's actually awesome. That's so
So
nice to
yeah, it
be
was
that
really
relaxed in
fun.
yourself, like.
Yeah, but when you get those opportunities, and I had actually a Zoom audition and also didn't get the job, where it's such a good time with the director that it made me excited about acting again.
Oh
So
yeah.
so you kind of go, oh, pity I didn't get the job there because I thought I did a good audition, but obviously not.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
let's talk
I was
about
excited. Yeah.
let's talk about that for a minute. So let's talk about, like, what makes you excited as an actor, or or not.
Mm,
I mean, I have found, in recent years, I know my priorities have shifted, and we'll get to that as well. And I'm sure,
yeah.
no doubt that yours have as well, massively. But what if a job comes in? What excites you about it?
I suppose initially like that, the script, like if you're
Mm,
kind of going, oh, like this is a story I want to tell or a character I want to be. But when the director, I suppose just thinking of those examples, give you notes that are like that lands somewhere in your head that you're like, it fires something off and you're like,
Mm,
okay, let's try this. And you want to do less talking and you're kind of like kick
mm,
it and you want to get into it. And I don't know, it brings like an energy to your acting again. Or you know that they're going to push you, you know that you're not going to be able to, you know, they might, something that you unconsciously do naturally, they want to pull out of you more, or maybe go, oh, no, don't do that
mm,
thing. So, you know, it's
mm,
going to be a challenge.
mm.
Um, and as well, like a nice working environment, sound
Yeah.
people, good
Mhm.
conversation, that all, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely adds to it.
How do you like to be directed? Like, do you like it direct, or do you like a big nuanced chit chat about it?
Ideally, I would love my relationship with the director to be so good that all they have to do is say like one or two things, and you're like, yeah, gotcha, or not even
Mm.
say anything at all and be like, I know, and back in and do it again, you know.
Yeah.
Um, or if they come and they give you like a little note that it can be direct, it can be just like try again. What, even if it's like, you know, like a one of those notes. What do they say when it's like be less sad? You know, like it's quite
Yeah.
on the. You're like, okay, but sometimes they can work, and
Yeah.
then other times it could be like a little golden sprinkle of something, and it's just like something might be a little obscure, or
Mm,
even I remember playing a scene in totally different ways. This was in an audition scene now, but he was like, play it like this person has Alzheimer's and but they don't know it, or as in this is the first time they're back, or play it like, you know, just giving you different options each time.
mm.
I don't know, each time. Well,
Yeah.
that's probably better for an audition. Scratch that last point, but all the other things.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Sometimes I like it to be a little direct.
yeah,
Like not in an abrasive way, obviously, but I
yeah,
think like you said, if you have a good rapport with the director and there's an unspokenness between you, um, and there's a connection and something's unspoken that I'm not hurting your feelings and I don't
yes,
I think you're, you know, a good actor and I respect you and vice versa, that they can be as direct as they want. Oh no, don't do that, do that. Okay, cool.
yeah, exactly,
You know,
exactly.
sometimes for me that works better. I suppose it
Yes,
depends.
totally. And if it's not working, you're kind of going, yeah, okay, like what do we need? What am I not what am I not getting here? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm always really happy to say I'm just not figuring it out. You're just gonna have to either give me
yes,
10 seconds to process this, or tell me to do it a different way. But there's something I'm not getting, and I don't know
yeah,
why. You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah,
Um, you talked about some of the heavier characters that you've played in the past and how emotional they are, and you have. And I remember being on Smother actually with you, and I think didn't we have a break in filming at some point because there was lockdowns and all that kind of crack happening.
yeah. Yes.
And I remember you saying to me, "Oh, well, the rest of the job is fine because all the heavy lifting for me is done." And I always remember that term, the way you put it, the heavy lifting. I was like, "Yeah, I like that term." Like, how do you kind of protect yourself, energetically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, when you do have to play really, really tough characters like that, or tough
Yeah,
scenes within those characters?
I think it's gonna be like, yeah, it's a good question, and I suppose it's a hard question as well. I, I don't really know. I'm like, how do I do it on set of a day? It's like because you're trying to keep that energy going so you can go in and do the scene. Um, and of course, there's like your body is. You see, this is the thing. You are replaying a thing in your body, like
Mm,
through. So that's kind of like, and trying to get that feeling in your body. So your body's feeling it.
yeah,
Um, so it's like, are you putting your body through trauma sometimes? And that's
yeah.
something that I'm thinking about now with acting. I'm like, that's interesting. That like you're kind of replaying this thing that you have to go over and over. No, for a short period.
Mm,
Like if you're doing it on screen, it's just for, okay, this is just for today or the
yeah.
week, or but like, you know, if you're on stage and you're doing it nightly and you have to get to a certain pace and you're
Yeah.
putting your body through that. So I do think some actors are more technical. Like I know there's an actress we both know, and she can make herself cry by how she physically moves her body. And then
Mm,
it's like her brain follows, which I'm like, okay,
mm,
that's amazing. So she doesn't have to basically emotionally get involved
mm.
um herself. But yeah, it is. How do you protect that? How do you keep that? And sometimes then when you're acting, how do you not give parts of yourself away? Because I know sometimes you can feel a little bit like parts of your soul have been
Yeah.
taken,
Yeah. Or you
in
feel a little bit
ways.
exposed. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm,
So how do you protect yourself?
mm.
And how do you switch off
Yeah.
at night, or
Mm,
after a shoot.
mm.
And I think now there's more things in place. Like if there's something that's heavy going, sometimes productions can offer like, therapy or something like that. But
Mm, mm.
yeah, I don't know, like definitely small things like, yeah, just trying to protect your energy on set, making sure that just knowing what you need at the end of the day, having a shower,
Yeah.
washing set off, even simple things like that. Then
Mm.
like looking after yourself, trying to eat right, I say all this now, and at the moment, this is not the way I'm living at all. So it feels very like, preachy or alien to be talking like that. But all the things that you think, oh, I probably should do that, that's probably what you should do
Yeah.
if you're trying to protect yourself, and guard your energy and all that kind of
Agreed.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
Like,
to a therapist, all those things.
totally. Do
Yeah.
you have a ritual that you follow or anything? I mean, you talk about taking a shower or that kind of stuff, but is there any other kind of like ritual that you would have to shake off the character or shake off the day or whatever?
I think it's hard to say because each job it's varied, and each job I
Mm,
get my own little ritual, whether that be in the theatre or definitely in the theatre, you definitely have
mm,
a ritual, and it's
mm.
definitely the one you stick to. And then you go, oh no, but it's not like a superstition thing. And then you're like, but why are you doing it every night? And if you didn't do it, you'd feel weird if you didn't do it. And you have to
Yeah.
do it just to make sure. Um,
Like
but
what? Like what? Is there anything that comes to mind that you would have, like you in the shows that you've done that you've had to do every night?
oh, well, like, you'd have to um especially if you're in a big theater, like go out onto the stage and make sure like, you're okay with being out there, and
Mm,
warming up your voice, warming up your body. Like
mm.
singing certain songs beforehand
Yeah,
and kind of
nice.
like touching that's one thing I do. So, and especially if I have to hit somewhere emotional, I might like sing that song and see if the emotion, I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe we can get to that point later on in the play. It's there.
Mm,
And then just things like that. And then giving yourself enough time to do your hair and makeup and all
mm.
those things.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, they're all kind of essential things. I think it's like theater acting, stage acting is so different because you're kind of minding yourself. Whereas
Yeah.
like in film, it's such a big machine that like you can't go anywhere. I always say it's like a happy prison, it's like you're allowed to have your phone and I'll bring you some water, but you're staying in that room and you're not leaving it.
That's so true. I didn't even think of that. Like in theater, you have to look after yourself. So you're like,
Mm,
yes, I have to like be eating a certain way, and I have to have a certain amount of energy, and I have to like have these things for myself to
mm.
be able to do this job. And then you're kind of mollycoddled a bit. So like, and you have someone who comes and like pulls down your t-shirt and fixes your top, and then I find that afterwards, I'm like, oh, I'm a wet sack going around because I've no one to like pull down my
Yeah,
t-shirt in the
no one to
back,
fix
and like,
you
no one to fix me, and
or
no
do
one
your
to like,
hair in the morning or
or
like give
tell
you
me
your
like,
breakfast
yes, how will I do this?
or
And
like tell you've got sleep in your eye or whatever.
yes, yes, and or get into that car over there. That car is going to bring you to set. So you do become like, that's like we are adult babies, like
Yeah,
meat props. We just like bring in the meat props.
meat
Like, yeah,
props.
and apparently that is what we have been called at times. Actors have been called meat props.
Oh my
Yeah, yeah,
goodness.
I've
Oh
heard it.
my.
I've heard it. Not to my face, but yeah,
Yeah, hopefully not meat props. Oh my goodness. Yeah, sometimes it is that. And actually, I always respect crew an awful lot because
yeah,
like I've worked on both sides. So crew are there before you get in, they're set up, they're ready to rock, they're going, they're patient when these actors are coming in and they're
Yeah.
wild. And, you know,
It's
and
yeah.
they're chit chat and they're, ooh, and they're excited. And they're like, yeah, we've been here a million times
Yeah.
before. We're here
Yeah.
hours before you, we'll be here hours after you,
Yeah. And
So I
they're
do,
in every day. So if you're not the lead in something, they're in
yeah,
every day. And then when they're finished that job, they're on to the next. And it's like
yeah,
13-hour days. I don't
yeah,
know how I do have a lot of respect for crew
big
because they're
time,
there all the time, all the time,
all the
all
time.
weathers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't have anyone minding them, you know.
No, they don't. And they most of the time they don't complain. They just
Yeah.
quiet in the background.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
do it. Do
Yeah.
it. I do think there's a difference though, in the sense that, okay, so like crew have this level of conversation. I always, or not conversation, concentration. And I would respectfully say they're probably at maybe 65% concentration consistently throughout the day most of the time, right? Except when they have breaks or whatever. But actors come in, they're at 10% concentration. We're
Mhm.
just filiberty gibbets, just kind of all over the place. It's like
Like
her cat.
toddlers.
Toddlers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In most instances. And I say that respectfully as well. And I think most actors would agree, right? Most of the time. But then we go into a situation where we have to have 100% concentration. And
Hmm.
that's what I find when I observe, cast versus crew. I find it really interesting. And this is just like one of a personal interest of observation. Like actors then on set, you have to have this level of concentration where you're so weird. It's like this multi-dimensional thing going on where you're like, you are Hilary, you are Seana, you are your person, you have all your own functions going on internally, but you're also being another person. Okay. And you've got all their functions going on internally as well. And then you're put in a situation where you are in a reality which isn't
Hmm.
technically your reality. It is because you're on set. So you're on the set is the reality, but then you're put into another scenario where this is supposed to be the place where your character is, the character's world, which is another layer of
Hmm.
reality as well. So you've got your function as Hilary or Seana, you've got your character's function, you've got your normal reality, you've got your heightened reality, and then you have like crew working in the background
Yeah.
doing all their jobs as well.
Yeah.
And so you have to, and then you've got the technical stuff that you have to remember every single time. So you have to be aware of sound, you have to be aware of light, you have to be aware of it's such a multi-layered thing going on as an actor. And I think that's why when scenes break, actors just go, oh,
Yeah.
and they go, oh, chit chat, chit chat, chit chat. Oh, I like your handbag. Oh, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah,
Yeah.
blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like they have to release all this like high level energy that
Yeah.
they've just channeled into that moment. That's
Yeah.
my take on it.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. Yeah.
And then,
Absolutely.
crew are at this kind of consistent level of concentration the whole time. So we go from like 10% to 100% to 10% to 100%, you know.
Yeah. And
Um,
that's interesting as well. Like that's no, I have nothing to add to that. That's great. I like that.
Thank you. Nothing to add.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's that's very interesting to me, and I'd like to hear you speak more. Do you know?
But this is the podcast
Yeah.
about you.
But I wanted to talk about you now. Enough about me.
Here,
Yeah.
well, here's a question, and it's a question for you. So, like, okay, we've talked about acting and career wise and all that, but I mean, like your life and my life and everyone's life has changed exponentially over the last couple of years. But it's so gorgeous that you have welcomed a baby into the world. I know she's like over a year. She's a
Yeah.
year now. My
Yeah.
word, I can't believe
Yeah.
that. How does like motherhood and parenthood change your outlook on life and your career actually?
I suppose it changes everything. And I feel extremely fortunate, like very, very, very fortunate that I have my daughter in my life now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it changes everything and perspective and all in the best way, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that doesn't encompass everything and it's roller coaster, it's up and down, it's hard and all those things. But yeah, I'm very glad to be on this journey and it's made my life infinitely better. Like
Oh, yeah.
infinitely better, night and day better. You kind of go, I'm really glad for me, like, and I can only speak about my own personal experience. I like I went for it and I didn't wait, and I
Wow.
said, right,
Wow.
like, because I
Yeah.
think particularly in our industry, a lot of time people can hold off and wait. And
Mm.
I think as well in this world, we're always waiting for like the right times and stuff like, oh, when is it kind of thing. Um,
There is never a right time to have a baby.
yeah,
You just got to
yeah,
do it, like you said.
yeah.
Like it's never
And
right. Nothing's
and I
ever
under
perfect.
yeah. And I understand as well that that's not always the way for people as well. Like,
Mm,
you
mm,
know,
mm,
people struggle to have babies.
mm,
Um,
mm.
so yeah, it makes me all the more um grateful and thankful and appreciative and all those things. But
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely makes you see the whole world differently and
Mm.
anew and all that through your daughter's eyes. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's class, and she's yeah,
Try.
brightens my days. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, oh God. And like, I know you've had a million people probably say this to you, but when they're babies, it goes so fast. And
Yeah,
I'm,
everyone's saying that. I'm
oh,
like, yeah,
my son just turned 8, and my daughter's about to turn 5. And I'm like, how did this happen?
yeah, that's the mad one because now she's not a
Mm,
baby. Like 5
mm.
is into like she's becoming a big girl, like
I
6, 7.
know,
It's
I
yeah,
know. Yeah, it's and they're in school, and I'm like, and I remember being quite impatient when they were small, and it just I had loads of stuff myself personally to work on, so
yeah,
I'd be like, okay, well, when's the next part? When's the next part? When's the next part? And you can kind of wish it away a little bit,
yeah. That's
particularly when
so
you
true.
have no sleep and you're exhausted and
Yeah,
everything is a mess. And we know we've had this chat. It's
yeah. Which is
it,
full disclosure where I'm at today.
yeah, yeah. There you go, and I get it. I
Just one
totally
of
get
those
it.
nights. But yeah,
Yeah.
you wouldn't take it back and you wouldn't change it, and that is it.
Mm,
Not wishing it away, not wishing
not
the
wishing it
time
away.
away, because yeah,
Mm.
like I was saying to you, there's going to be a time I know when Danny will stand up and walk away from me, and I'll be like, "Do you want me to collect you? No. Do you want me to?" Yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my daughter we got her a bike. We got them both bikes this the summer just gone, and she was cycling, and I was watching her like, full of joy and pride and love, and she just cycled the whole way
Oh,
out the driveway, out onto the road. It was totally safe and everything. I watched her
yeah,
do it, and I just went, "That's her. That's
that's
her
her.
personality. She won't even look back. She'll be when the time's right. She'll be gone. That's her personality." And I was like, "Oh, you
I
know."
remember you telling me that, and I remember thinking, but you have like, isn't that amazing for her that she has the confidence and you've got helped her with that,
Wow.
that she's going, I don't have to look back.
Mm,
Because I know she's there. That's grand. Mommy's there. I can go ahead. I can.
mm.
You are the launch pad, and she can just go off and come back, and
I
and
know.
she's confident to do
She's confident. And I don't think I'd anything to do with that confidence. She's just,
that.
honestly, she's just one of those ones who just has
Yeah,
it. You just look at her
yeah.
and go, wow, how
Wow.
she's like, she's been on this planet a million times before.
Yeah,
She knows it.
yeah.
I remember
And
looking at her,
oh,
like holding her when she was a baby, and she looked at me, and whatever way she looked at me, she was
yeah,
just like, I
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know everything. And I went, you do, you do, you know.
Yeah, and that way that kids are is amazing. And I know as an actor, then you go, oh yeah, that's what I meant. Like that's what you try to get back to. You're like, I'm meant to be as playful as a child. I'm meant to be as
Yeah.
open and as like and not knowing and all knowing all at the same time. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
you said, like they just know, they just are, they just be. Do you
They
know what I
just
mean? It's
be.
like I know that sounds quite like silly or whatever, but yeah,
Yeah, and you're so
just
right. There's a
amazing.
lovely parallel actually being an actor and it's like being in that flow moment, that flow state, and you're just being, and they're the
Mm,
beautiful moments as on set. They're the moments I really enjoy on set.
yeah,
And then, scene is, it's called cut, and you're like, ah,
yeah.
and you don't have to say it and nobody else has to know it, but it's just that internal moment of, oh, I was in the moment there. I really
That
enjoyed
was
that.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, and sometimes it's nice when attention isn't brought to it, like, really
Mm,
good job there. Because you can come to like like the industry can be very egoic, and it's like now
Yeah.
you're just like stroking my ego or pet, like, now we're just in that world. Oh, that was that was really good, so go for another one. And you're like, no, 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 now I'm in my head. I need to, like, don't comment, not that you can't say good job to people, like, when the
Yes.
job is
Yeah.
done. But I think a lot of the time on sets we can be a little bit like, how
Re-
was that,
yes, or
too up
relying
there or
on it,
something.
on the appraisal.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And
And
you see
that's
it with kid actors. You're like, oh God,
mm,
no, that they was that good? And you're like, oh no, it's already awakened in them. Not all of them,
yeah.
obviously. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I try to stay away from that in everything that I do. It's lovely to get praise. It's lovely to get nominations like you. I mean, you've won a ton of awards over the years. And I just feel like, and this is my own personal take on it, because so much validation for me came by being an actor, or like that was the validation I was seeking. But really, the validation I should have been seeking was my own personal validation through my own intuition
totally,
and everything else.
totally.
So I try not to, like you said, buy into that. You get an award nomination, wonderful, thank you, I really appreciate you thinking of me. But my validation isn't based on that, that kind of way.
Totally.
Took me a
Yeah,
long time to get there, though, a long time to get there, and I think I'm
yeah,
there now. I'm as long as I'm happy with what I want to produce and do, like Live
yeah,
While the podcast is like totally me, and I love it and I'm really proud of it. As long as I can create like that, and that I suppose comes back
yeah,
to the artistry, that like I validate what I do and not really anybody else. Does that make
yeah,
sense? No.
totally. And like, it's something that came up when you were talking there was the like, I'm Seana, I'm an actor, and it's like,
Mm.
you aren't acting. You know what I mean? You do
Mm.
acting, it is your job, but that is not who you are. You know what I mean?
Mm. Mm.
It's part, it's a facet of you, but it's not what exclusively you are. Exclusively
Yeah.
you are. And yeah, definitely. And what you said there about intuition as well, it's like, yes, the external, like, was that okay? Like, and looking outward to the director, going, was that one okay for you, rather than going, oh no, my instincts are right.
Mm.
And like, what
Mm.
do you want from this scene? It's like, well, what do I want from this scene? And I
Mm.
think that's somewhere I need to get better at as an actor again. Like,
Mm.
just reminding myself, oh yeah, like, what do I want from this,
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting when you talk about reminding yourself as an actor, because sometimes we have massive breaks between projects. And it
Absolutely.
takes a while. Like the first few days on set, you're like, how do I do this again? Sometimes I
Yeah.
literally say it. I go, sorry guys, I just haven't done this. No,
I
I just
need to shake
have
it
to,
off.
yeah, yeah, I have to remember how I do this again. Because,
Yeah.
you're not in those big productions day in, day out, like everybody else is in their normal jobs, day in, day out. So it's a kind of a tricky one.
Yeah.
What would you be doing with yourself if you weren't an actor, do you think? Hey, if you're enjoying this episode and you'd like to show your support, if you like, you can buy us a coffee using the Buy Me a Coffee app or online at buymeacoffee.com/Live Wild podcast, or just click the link in our show notes, it will take you there. Alternatively, you can also donate crypto to the show using the BitDonate app or at bitdonate.com and search for Live Wild, or just follow the link in the show notes. Either or both those donations really help us make the best show possible. And as always, you can like, subscribe, and share the show with your mates or on social media. Thank you so much for your help.
Oh, I'm like, what would I be doing? Okay, so I think that I was like, why did I think of that? When I got to that side, I was like, oh yeah. I used to think that I would teach, but I don't think I'd be very good. I wouldn't, but
Think you
I'd be
would.
bored. I think I'd be bored after a while, and I just want to do all the fun things with the kids.
Mm.
Um, but I would like to write children's fiction.
Ah,
And
yes.
that's where I would be at. Yeah.
Yeah, but you are. I mean, you're doing it. You're being modest again. You're doing it. You've
I'm
started the
trying.
you've
I've
started
started
the
the process. Yeah.
process,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is wonderful. So
Yeah. And sorry, Hilary,
no, 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 you go on.
I was just saying that taking some of that autonomy that you lose sometimes as an actor, like, just because you get to tell the story you want to tell. And a lot of people go, like, as an actor, say, oh, would you not write yourself a one woman show, or would you not write yourself a short? And you're like,
Mm.
that it's harder work than you think, lads, and it's hard work to get it
Mm.
made. So it's not just like if you have a laptop, you are a writer. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's something that has excited me again. Like when you
Oh,
first
lovely.
brought up about when you first start acting, you're like, oh yeah, that like yeah, and I think books and children's fiction. I worked in Dublin City Council libraries for years, and I was
Ah,
always found in like the junior section in the boxes that are shaped like cars and stuff like that. Reading those books, like I
no
love
way.
picture books, and I don't know, and kind of mm, 8, 9, 10, like actually even young adults, all that age group where I don't know, there's some kind of safety in that type of book.
Wow.
You know
That
what I mean?
sounds,
Yeah,
it sounds gorgeous. It sounds gorgeous. Like, obviously, you have an affinity with it, and it's been a massive part of your life. So it only makes sense
yeah.
that moving forward, it becomes part of your life again, you know?
Yeah, well, hopefully, but even the process of and trying not to go, okay, what is this end
Mm.
product, and just trying to be creative for its own sake. But obviously, at the moment, it's gone a little by the wayside. But
You've more
still,
important
little
things.
ideas, yeah, are mulling
Yeah.
around, hopefully percolating there, and yeah,
Absolutely, because parenthood is going to inform you of all that anyway. Like, you're now in a
yeah,
perfect position to do it because, I think it's probably a little more difficult, not that it hasn't been done, but it might be a little more difficult to write children's books if you don't have the perspective of a parent and reading to your kid the whole time and um, involved in their stories and their processes and how they think and what attracts them and what
yeah. You've got
all
an
that kind of.
inbuilt audience. You kind of go, what do they
Yeah,
respond to? Or yeah,
yeah, and girls
yeah.
will respond to different things that boys respond to generally as well. It's so interesting. Like, I always think, oh, that's stereotyping boys and that's stereotyping girls, but I don't know. I've witnessed it in my own home as well. I'm like, wow, they do really go for dinosaurs and trucks, and they do really go for kittens and unicorns.
Very interesting. That's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, no,
it's
it's
sweet.
yeah.
It's sweet. Um, if this is, I like this question. Um, if you were to give advice to young Shauna, one nugget, what would you give to young Shauna?
Um,
Could be anything. It doesn't have to be about acting. Could be anything at all.
the advice would be that it's like, yeah, like trust listen to your gut, listen to your intuition and
Mm.
follow that. Listen to yourself. Because I think so many times in my life I didn't. I've
Mm.
ignored what my guts were screaming. But I didn't know how to hear them. And
Yeah.
I didn't know how to um it's like, right, okay, in the back of my head you know what to do, but you don't know how to do it. So I
Mm.
suppose listening to that feeling, um yeah, yeah. I don't
Mm.
know I don't know how to, I suppose because I'm being so personal that it's probably hard to verbalize it because it wouldn't
Mhm.
make sense to anybody else because it's in yourself. But
Mm.
do
Mm.
you know what I mean? But yeah, no, yeah, listen to yourself. It's the instinct, and it's something where I'm always trying to get back to.
Yeah. And so I know you're saying it's a hard process to verbalize, but are there any clues for you every single time? Like, is there something consistent that you go, oh, there's that sensation again, or oh, there's that whatever it might be, that kind of is your guiding light, essentially?
No. That's probably the hard thing. I'm like, but
Yeah.
maybe it's probably the pit in your stomach where you're kind of going, oh, right, you
Mm.
know? Um, because usually it's something that you're like, you should do this, but it's easier if you don't,
Mm.
one of those kind of things.
Mm. Okay.
So
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Can you
So
think of
it's a hard one to I'm trying to think of it.
Can you think of times in your life when you didn't trust your gut, or when something really succinctly dropped in you and, ooh, bing, this is right for me? I'm totally putting you on the
Like,
spot with this.
no, no, and then it goes to like, heavier times in your life, and you're like, well, so there has
Yeah.
definitely been times for sure, but
Yeah.
one that I could probably speak about more openly is like I learned this from my friend Nika McGuigan, who I worked with on
Mm.
Canned Cope, who has, I don't know, I should probably say has subsequently passed away.
Yeah, I'm
She's
sorry
no
about that.
longer
Yeah.
here,
Mm.
but she was a great one for teaching me how to trust my gut. And I think it was the realization, seeing things that inherently she just felt, that I was like, oh yeah, I felt that too. But she just kind of went with it. And you're like,
Wow.
oh, she was very like that. She led with what felt right. And
Mm.
so yeah, she was a big teacher of that for me. And um, how she could see it in a situation, how she could
Wow.
read it in it. Like it was just yeah, and unashamedly going with your gut. Like even down to acting, it's kind of like, you could get into your head and second guess yourself, but actually no, just going with what felt right on instinct, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
director was like, oh, I wanted you to do that, and you're like, yeah, no, I know, but sometimes I think the reason I don't is space. I feel like and time, people kind of
Yeah.
and this is in life and in acting, you kind of feel a little rush, so you're just like, okay, yeah, whatever whatever. I was just about to do that, but because you already feel like the looming pressure of someone asking you to do it, you're like, no, I was actually, if you give me just a small bit of space, I was gonna do that. I was gonna do what you wanted, but just give me the space.
Give me the space. Sometimes I have found I've worked better with actors that kind of, or not actors, but directors that kind of back off and
Mm,
just kind of, it's like they're
yeah,
holding the space for you,
yes,
and they're kind of like, okay, I know she's here for a reason. She's got it. She's got the job for a reason. So let's
yeah,
just give the little bit of time to
yes,
figure it all out. And yeah, that's nice when someone can go with their gut as well. Um, yeah, go with your gut. It's so
yeah,
important, isn't
yeah,
it? Trust the
yeah.
gut. Trust the
And
gut.
learning all about my guts then, like, and through Nika being like, obviously that your gut is your, what do they say, it is like your second brain, and how you
Yeah.
have to feed your gut well, so you're like, and yeah, so it gives you the
Yeah.
right messages and stuff. And even down to, if people are depressed, they say, oh well, they should probably change your diet to fix your gut, because um
Big
that will
time.
help. So yeah.
Big time. Yeah, I've had so many gut issues this year, and they've really manifested as like low energy, low
Mm,
mood, all that kind of stuff. So like I'm on a mission to fix my gut again, because I was good. I was really good for a while, and then, life
I know,
happens
me
and
too.
stuff
Yeah, I know.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so hard to
yeah.
be consistent. But it's like, and it's really interesting because I think when you get to those points in your life where physically you feel good, mentally you feel good, emotionally, spiritually, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, zing.
And you're
Yeah.
like, I'm here. I made it. This is
Yeah,
it. Oh, yeah, wonderful. And then, life events or stress or
yeah,
whatever, you get busy and you forget. And
yeah,
then you're like, how did I end up back here again? I'm kind of in a bit of a slump again. I really thought that I had broken through this glass
yeah,
ceiling. How am
yeah,
I here again? But what I've come
yeah,
to is that everything is cyclical, and you will never, ever, ever, be peak condition, peak humor, peak, all the
it's
time.
unsustainable.
I don't think it is. And
Yeah.
I think it's actually really interesting because, um, it really informs you of the cycles of life, and that I think has been taken away from us in where we are now in society and culture. You're expected to be on form, to look your best, to be your best, to feel your best all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
and we're being pushed to do that either in careers or, even in the beauty industry. You're supposed to look a certain way all the time. There's no room for like, oh, well, I remember just having had my babies, not feeling my best, and, going through all
yeah.
these, your body changes and your emotions and everything. And it's like, there's so much pressure on women. Women, I think, more so because we are really, intricately part of that cycle. And
Totally.
and
Totally.
even within your own monthly cycle, there are days where you're like, oh, I'm ovulating, I feel amazing, let's go, let's go, let's
Yeah.
go. And then
Yeah.
you're just other days you're just like, okay, this is day one now, so I'm going to just
Yeah.
protect myself. And I think if we had this inbuilt knowledge and information and understanding of the cycles of life better, it wouldn't
Yes.
feel so bad when we're in
Yes.
a dip or a lull,
Yes.
and it wouldn't feel
Yes.
like, oh, I can't get out of this. It would just be like, no, let's just let it go because the cycle comes back up again.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so funny. You're saying all the things, and I'm just going, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like about to say it, and you're like, no, Hilary's saying it. But totally about the cycles of life and the way the world is. It's not really and designed this way, but like not really kind of conducive to those cycles of life. It's like, okay, so we're coming into the darker months. It is more a hibernation thing, but
Yeah.
then we're like pushed out to do Christmassy stuff. And it's like, well, what if we kind of came in instead? Like, why does it have to be
Mm.
outwards? But that's not really conducive to consumerism.
I was going to
And
say
then
capitalism, exactly. Yeah.
and then and the same way even like New Year's Eve is on the 31st of January, but it's like this really dark time, and as in dark in the sky and
Yeah.
dark for some people, but it's not really that, when spring comes in and people are like, okay, let's go and spring forward and that kind of movement. It's like, well, shouldn't that be the new? And that's when you start again, as
Mm.
opposed to like, why are our cycles designed this way? And
It's
that
not
is by,
natural.
no, it's
Yeah.
not. And it is by design because someone
Yeah.
did design it just a long time ago. And we've just
Mm.
stuck with that design, or some people
Yeah.
stick with that design. But yeah, and even down to like your cycle and your period and kind of going, okay, knowing, okay, this is the whatever part, the spring of my cycle. And knowing, okay, I am going to be better with people at the moment because I'm at this part, or
Mm.
I know why I'm feeling reclusive because it's like, yeah, I'm at this part. So
Mm.
just, I suppose, yeah, living, living in nature. I know that sounds a bit
No, but
naff or
it's
whatever, but like we are so pulled back from that. And I
mm.
know my boyfriend always says, like, when the world wants you to speed up, which it does, everything is fast, everything is now, you should probably do the opposite.
Mm.
But I think that's very a hard thing to do. And I know you're very good at this, but even myself, I like just getting out of the house. And I suppose it's different now with a baby and if she wants to leave the house and all those things. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um being connected with nature, it's like, okay, we're so disconnected from it that we probably should go the other way and be like uber connected to it. And I think
Mm.
then a lot of things in life, known from people you speak to on your podcast, and your life changes for the better infinitely by being more connected to your outside world. But by design, we are turned inwards and turned towards screens and all those things.
Mm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just being out in nature, I don't know, everything just feels better and nicer.
Yeah.
Like I went for a walk in the woods with my friend yesterday, and we were like, okay, let's go for our power walk around the woods and stuff. And then, she had the dog, and it's our usual thing, and we have our chit chat, and it's great, and I love it. And the light was shining. It was a really beautiful, clear winter's day, really cold. The light was shining through the trees, and the two of us just went,
Ah,
and just stopped and just stood there in silence for about 2 minutes, going, oh my God, just soaking up all this beautiful rays of
mm,
light. Just
mm,
literally, I was like, put it on my pineal gland.
mm, mm.
I was like, I'm just going to soak this up. And it was a moment, and it was like, cool, now we can go
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
It's so special and it's so underrated. And I think half the time people don't
totally.
even know why they feel good
Yeah,
when they're out in nature, or taking the time to even just look at a nice sunset or
yeah.
examine a
But
leaf on a tree.
that's amazing. Totally. I did that the other day and I was like, this is mad. Trees are mad, aren't they? Like, that's mad. That's like, I'd no other word to describe it, going, that's mad, that's mad. Because I didn't have the words. But I love that you were stopped by something, like that you were stopped by the sun and you were like, that's awesome. Like I am in awe. Like if we actually, I'm looking out the window here, like the sky is so blue and that
Mm,
cloud is huge. Like if you stop and you really take something in, you go, fuck, this place is mad. This is mental.
Yeah.
If you actually, so this is, what are you running around for? Like, step it. Have you seen outside? It's trippy as fuck out there. You're
Yeah.
like, you're like, there's it like the wind moves the trees. The trees are like dancing. Like if you look at
Yeah.
trees, like they're dancing. Like
They're like,
this place,
woo.
yeah, they're like,
They're like, hey,
hey.
Shauna.
Exactly. If you
Yeah.
looked at the no, and that's the thing you forget because you're going around and you're rushing and you're worried and you're all that. Oh, you have so much. I have to, pay that tax bill and all those
Yeah.
really stressful things. But then when you step outside and you go, oh no, but this is reality. This is where you're going. This place is mad and magic. If we looked at it with those eyes all the time, but we can't. But I understand if we try to.
Thank you for saying that word magic. It is magic. I think it is.
Yeah.
Every single time I'm just like, oh, yeah, even like I do a lot of I try to grow a lot of food or plants or whatever. I'm really fascinated because again, that brings me back to the cycle of life. I really appreciate that. My mum instilled that in me. Is like she was a really good gardener. And so I just naturally started to do it. And I love like putting a seed in the ground. I always wish it well. It's this really little ritual that I have. I always say, Godspeed, little seed. And I've put it in the ground. And then, a few months later, you've got food. And you're like, this is
That's mental.
amazing. There's
Yeah.
food everywhere. There's food everywhere.
Yeah.
And we go to a supermarket and we buy it. And I'm like, there's food everywhere, lads.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I actually figured that out when I was pregnant. It's so funny. I think I was so hungry when I was pregnant with my son. I kind of had this kind of panic. I was like, what if the supermarkets run out of food? And what if... And so I started to look around and go, hang on a sec. But people survived for millennia without supermarkets, I was like, sure, it's everywhere. It's all around us. So that's what kind of brought me back into it. The food is here. We don't chill out. We're grand. We're fine. There's food everywhere.
Yeah, that's mad. Yeah, but
And also,
that's a crazy concept. You put a seed into the ground, and
mm.
then food grows. You're like, what?
And you know what's even cooler, right?
Bizarre.
This is cool. And I think you'll appreciate this one. So, the way when you're breastfeeding a baby and sometimes their saliva will come back, it goes back through the nipple and goes back into your immune system and it tells your body what the baby needs for the next feed, right? That's been proven, right? So when you plant seeds, I read this, so I started doing it, right? What you can do is like plant your seed and I say, Godspeed, little seed. And then you can actually spit into the seed. All right, cover it over. And apparently, now this it's not proven, don't know, but I do it. Apparently, it's like biofeedback. It will tell the seed what it needs, what you need when it becomes veg. So it'll draw from what's in the earth to give you what you need. That blew my mind.
That's really cool.
Isn't
I really
it?
like that. Yeah.
I don't know if it's true or not.
People who do that spit into their like dog's mouth when they're like a puppy because you like to bond them to you, and it's like, okay, you are their master type of thing. Yeah, but that's obviously very interesting about like the food will give you what you need from the information in your saliva.
Because it's Mother Earth. Mother Earth, she's your mother. She's going to feed you. So yeah. I don't know.
All the information that's in our saliva, mad, eh? Might make you, all the young people listening, think second guess who you go and kiss. Do you know?
So true. Oh my goodness.
You're taking on their information.
You're taking on their biological information. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't think about that, Shauna.
No, I'm just, that's one we can think about.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so it's the Live Wild podcast. Would you like to do the Live Wild quickfire round? We're coming to the end of our chat.
Okay, yes, I would, but I'm scared. Go on.
Okay,
so quickfire, Seana, come on.
No, that's okay. It doesn't have to be quickfire. I just call it quickfire. It doesn't have to be. This is it. Do you believe in magic?
Yes.
Ooh,
absolutely.
Tell me more. What's a good example of magic for you?
Well, I think we were just talking about it. Like, that's all magic.
Yeah.
That is like you're kind of going, okay, so you're telling me that's not magic. okay. And they're
Yeah.
like, no, it's not. It's science. And you're like, yeah, okay. Well, that's that's
Yeah,
magic.
they were all
Yeah.
one at one point, weren't they? Really?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
And how
Mm.
and how they used to teach us a lot more.
Mm.
Um yeah, the world around us is magic. The fact that um, you know, my egg meets a sperm and it makes a zygote and my baby, and that's magic. She's
That
magic.
and she
And
grows in your body and comes out of your
yeah,
body as a human being.
that's all
Magic.
magic. And
Yeah.
what she's brought to my life, the joy, the happiness, that's
Yeah.
magic.
Wow.
So absolutely, yeah. Just
Wow.
magic everywhere for those who dare and care to see it, you know.
Donna, that's
As
a
corny as
quote.
that sounds.
No, it needs to go up on Instagram as a tile.
I'm sure
Beautiful.
there's, isn't there one? Oh yeah, doesn't Roald Dahl say something about magic about it? Like if you believe in magic, it'll shine out of your face or something, but
Mm.
more eloquently put, not like that. Shines out of your face. Yeah. I don't know.
Jazz magic in your blood in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite form? Oh, hang on. No, hang on. Sorry, we'll go to a different one. That's
And others and other forms of magic, like actual sorcery. Like it's all like, you can about
yeah.
how you attract things in. Like I've definitely done that, being like, oh, I want this, and enough thought to it, and it could be done. But
Yeah. Manifestation
yeah,
magic, yeah.
there's sorcery, manifesting. That's what the word is. I
Mm,
couldn't think of the word. But yeah, there's all sorts of magic going on
yeah.
around us.
I agree. And I think half the time people aren't even aware of it. Like,
100%, yeah.
there's Wicca is alive and well all over the world and in Ireland. And I think there's some beautiful practices in that. There's sorcery going on. Some of it's shady, some of it's,
Yeah,
South
absolutely.
America. There's quite a bit of I'm sure it's everywhere. It's, but people don't talk about these dark practices. There's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff like,
yes.
yeah. Have
Yeah.
you ever done
There's a
like a
lot of dark practices.
there is. Have you ever done like a magic spell that's worked for you?
Ooh. But I suppose it's like in practical magic, and when she like manifests her man and she's like, I want one green eye and one blue, like that she manifested this person. And I do
Mm,
think like, yeah, I've definitely manifested people, and I've manifested
yeah.
things as well to yeah, and there's been magic as well that's guided me, like
Yeah.
signs and stuff that's guided me in life, that I'm like, oh, this is pointing me on the right path for sure.
And it's like you see there's like whatever beautiful way you put it, there's magic all around us if you dare to see it. I think I'm going to have to go back and even listen to what you said. It's gorgeous, but it's true though. I mean, I feel like there's a kind of a like a universal language, which is the language of symbolism, which to me is quite magical. There's a sign, there's a shape in the cloud, there's a whatever it might be. And some people think that's really frivolous, and part of it can be really
Yeah,
fluffy and frivolous. But I think if you learn to read the language of the universe and how it speaks to you, it can be actually really beneficial. You can kind of
yeah,
make decisions a lot clearer. And again, it's about
yeah,
intuition. Does this feel right? That's what yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah,
But we are energy. We are all made up of energy, and we're all
Mm,
communicating with each other, whether we know it or not. Like walking by someone in the street, there you've communicated through your energy, because that's what we are.
mm,
And
mm.
no one disputes that now.
Totally. I remember being in a shop, and I was with my son, and he was kind of over at the other side of the shop, and somebody walked in who just had a very dark energy, very, very shady dark energy. And my son saw him and literally ran to me and just like, and then he came out and he went, "What was that, Mom? What was
Mm,
that?"
yeah,
Kids,
good question.
yeah, kids respond to that. They see it, they don't even know. Like you say the word energy, and they're like, okay, whatever. But he read him so well. It's so well. I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Um, what do you stand for, Seana Kerslake?
Oh God. Oh, that's such a hard question. Um, and I think it's such a sticky world now that it's hard to say what you stand for, and it's hard to actually stand up as well, because you can be, everyone's just like, sit back down, don't say anything, like, don't
Mm,
raise your head above the parapet, especially in our job as well. It's like, don't say too many things that might not align with other people's values, because you
mm,
won't get hired, or
mm,
all these all these things. But what do I stand for? I like things to be fair on like a let's go to like a
mm,
basic level.
mm.
I'm a Libra, so I like things like, balanced. I want everybody to feel happy and involved, and that
Yeah.
so definitely I, yeah, don't like to see um the underdog being, you know trodden down or anything like that. So
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
Justice,
um
maybe.
Yes. Yeah, I suppose. Um, but then on both sides, like, because I wouldn't be for like a social justice warrior. I'd kind of be like, okay, well, hang on a second there, because
Mm,
in you doing that, you're
mm.
actually doing what you don't want the other side to do. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
and I
Hmm.
think that's where we're at. It's like,
Mm,
everyone's like, oh, the right is this and the left is this. And you're going, okay, but now it's so polarized that you can't have
yeah.
any conversation, and there's no nuance to anything, and there's no
Mm,
gray area. And if you believe in this, then you also believe this, this, and this. And you're like, well, no, that's not true,
yeah.
because people can be nuanced, and I can take a bit from this and a bit from that. And it doesn't mean, that
Yeah.
one person is solely right.
Yeah. And I think that's where you're right, where the balance comes in. If we have a nice balance,
Yeah.
everybody chill out.
But it's
Just,
never that, yeah, because we've
mm,
too many emotions going,
yeah.
and too much money on the line, and too much all
Mm,
those things.
personal stuff wrapped up
Mm.
into it. If you were to distill yourself down to an essence, what would that essence be?
Mm. I would like I'd love to have a quick answer and be like, I would love, because I'd love to be like lavender, but I know that's, I think a lot of people I know have said that and would say that, and I think would like to be that, because you're like, it's calming, it's like, it can hold you, it's all those lovely
Mm,
um warm things. But I don't know. I don't think that's what I'm distilled down to. But be like, oh, this lavender's a bit off. Is there something in this lavender? Is it a bit? Is there? Um, so I don't really know. I don't know what it would be distilled down to. Maybe a stiff drink. Um, a la-
Amazing.
yeah, a lavender flavored. No, don't include
Yeah. A
lavender.
lavender gin and tonic.
Yeah, maybe like a nice ooh, I could be, will I be a whiskey? A nice
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, not for everyone to kind of go, oh, that'll put hairs on your chest. That's a bit punchy. But I feel good. It feels good. It
Yeah.
feels right. I feel a bit on fire. No, I feel
Yeah.
like it's warming. It's yeah, that's what I would like to be. Maybe like a really kind of,
You're a good whiskey.
yeah,
Wow.
maybe.
Wow. I drink you, Shauna. I would.
Yeah, and not for children, but yeah.
Yeah. What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
Oh, some of these questions I was like dreading, because I was like, oh my God, how am I going to answer them? Not dreading, but like, you kind of
Yeah, yeah.
going, but and then like that, like wild, it's like, I'm not wild at all. I haven't jumped off like, I haven't jumped out of a plane, or like, gone wild camping or anything like that. So
Mm.
I feel very unwild. But then when you said, the first thing that popped into my head there, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Um, I suppose this is pretty wild when you think about it, that I gave birth to my daughter, who was a footling breech. So she came feet first, which a lot of people might be fearful of, because they would, because it's not the norm, but
Yeah.
it isn't, it's normal, it's just not the norm. Like, but without any drugs, no painkillers, no nothing.
Oh, I just got chills, Shauna.
I suppose
Wow.
that's I suppose that's when you think about it, like that's pretty wild because it's quite what's that word? Um I don't know the word I'm looking for.
It's
But
wild. That is wild.
I was probably like a wild animal doing it. No, I was like, I wasn't. But yeah, no,
You
I did
trusted
some
that you could do it.
100%. I had a
Wow.
lot of trust. I'd
Beautiful.
done a lot of work, and I said, no, I can absolutely do this. I've got a good team around me, which was my partner and my
Mm.
baby, and we worked together. And I just locked in and went, right, we're doing this. And she is as determined. So I was like, yeah, she is wild.
Wow. She's your
Yeah,
wild child. That
yeah,
that is wild to do it with no pain relief. Wow.
yeah. Absolutely. And honestly, it can be done if the parameters are right, like, if
Yeah,
everyone's safe and all those things, and
absolutely. Yeah.
you can do it. But
Yeah.
yeah, you just the power of your mind, when you kind of
And
know I
yeah.
can do this, and
And
breathing and
yeah.
hypnobirthing.
And your body and just like our bodies are just phenomenal how they can do that
Yes.
and then heal back
Yeah.
up again
Yes.
and go again
Yeah.
another time,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Well, we'll
remarkable.
see.
Yeah, I know, I get that, I get
I'm like, hey, no,
that.
I did it. I did it once. It's pretty
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, and I'm like, yeah, but how many now, Shauna? No, that is incredible, that is incredible. What's the one thing you do every day that helps you live wild and free, seeing as this is the Live Wild podcast?
Oh. Ah, I wish I could answer this and be like, I do this every day. But I think maybe I should be a commitment that this will help me live wild and free. And it's just like something as simple as I do shower every day. So if I do, to reset,
Yeah.
I think that really helps me. And like that's like, okay, that helps me
Mm,
have a more open heart to kind of go, like, you can just have that reset. Um, but something that would help me to do every day to live wild and free, yeah, would I'm looking outside is to get outside. So if I could, I'm going to make a commitment here now to try get back on the high zingy buzz that we were talking about.
mm,
And it would be to, yeah, still do my shower every day to like
mhm.
reset and open my heart and get outside. So
That's
I
it.
can, so I can live wild.
That's
Get out
it.
there. Get out
Yeah.
there.
Get out
What am
there.
I waiting for?
We're waiting for the podcast to finish. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that. It's as simple as that. Yeah. I'm going to do the same thing. The second we finish up here, I'm going to go outside and
Yeah.
just soak it in for a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
That lovely blue wintry sky.
I
It's
love it.
nice.
I love
Crisp.
it. Crisp and it's fresh and your cheeks are rosy and it
Yeah.
catches your breath and
Yes. Yeah.
and I just like not tuning into podcasts. I say that respectfully because I make one.
Except this one. Yeah.
I unplug and I just listen. I love listening to like
Yeah.
the sound of like if you walk through the woods, especially now all the leaves are on the ground, the shuffle of the leaves and little birds, and I just love
Yes.
that. I love
And my
that.
daughter's done that as well. She's brought my attention back to birds because she's obviously mad about all the birds and the trees and the hedges around her house.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
like, oh yeah. So now it's always, and listening to birds, you're like, that's
Yeah,
mad.
it is mad.
That's just my phrase. That's mad.
It is mad.
But yeah.
What was the thing I saw recently? And they were talking about oh, I can't get this quite right now, so it's going to sound a little bit off, but plants know to grow by the tune in the bird song. So like you need the
That's so
birds
cool.
to be singing at the crack of dawn for plants to either open up or grow or progress in some way. I'll have to look it up
Wow.
and because I saw it twice online and I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Is there a frequency in the bird song or something that tells the plants, okay, it's time?
Yeah, and when you do find that, send it on to me because because I want to know. And the fact that you've seen it twice is also going.
Yeah.
Hello, Hilary. Can
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can you
Pay
look?
attention,
Yeah,
pay attention, pay attention.
and because
Exactly.
I saw somewhere recently as well that like bee. Now let's go fact check about this. But bees thrum their wings at like in the key of C, and apparently that can help people with PTSD.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
which
That's
I
not,
never knew.
that it's the buzz.
Ah,
It's
the
it's
bus.
it's the
Mm,
buzz. It's the
yeah,
buzz, and if there's like yeah, I've seen something like that as well. It's a buzz, and if you have like the sound of a hive,
yeah,
like you can listen to the sound of a hive, and you're like, oh, yeah,
yeah. So it
it's
can
actually,
heal you. Like, so
yeah,
there you go.
sound healing. Telling you, it's all
Yeah.
about it. It's all about it. This is a whole other podcast we could get into, Shauna. You have to come back in the
I
next
know.
season. We'll talk further.
We need to go. Maybe we should give this to a producer and be like, right, fund me and Hilary to
Yeah.
go around and find ways in nature that can heal,
Oh my
and so
God.
yeah,
Yes.
that can heal or help our everyday being.
Oh my
So
God.
can me and Hilary present that and go do it? Thank you.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
I'm up for it. I'm up for
yeah,
it. Okay. We'll
yeah.
send it out. We've
We'll
put it
bring the
out.
kids. It'll be great.
And
It'll
the
be a whole
kids would be
family
so cute.
adventure.
It'd be so cute. You just hear me shouting in the background.
Me too.
Stop fighting with each other.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
become like a child's entertainer. I just sing songs all day and do like little dance routines. Just yeah.
Well, I get directed by my daughter now. No,
Oh
mom,
wow.
stop now. And then now, okay, now go. I'm like,
Oh
okay,
wow.
thanks. Well, like, I'm the grown up, aren't I?
Yeah. No, you're the actor. She's the director.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's well able.
Yeah.
So, Seana Kerslake, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It has been beautiful, not just to chat and to see your face and do all these things. We kind of use the podcast as a catch up. We shouldn't have,
Yes.
in the
I
sense
know.
that we shouldn't use it as an excuse. We should just catch up. But
I know.
it's been gorgeous. Thank you so
I
much.
know. Thank you so much. I've loved it, and it started my day off the right way as well.
Beautiful.
So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you for being here. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed making these episodes. Thank you, as always, to our amazing guests. A special thank you to Aoife McNamara, my co-producer extraordinaire from Imagine Media. Please like, share, subscribe, and rate us. It all really helps. And remember, this content is for education and entertainment purposes. In short, it's not gospel. I always say, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Always question everything and do your own research.